What's going on, gamers? Today we're going to be going over what ticking entities are and how you can get rid of them on your Apex server. But before we get into the tutorial, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the official Apex YouTube channel. A ticking entity is caused by a monster or creature that has been corrupted in the data files for the game. Entities is what Minecraft calls all monsters and creatures in the game. While the game is running, the information for the entity can become corrupted. This corruption can be so bad that any attempt by the game to process anything related to it at all will cause the game to crash. While this corruption can happen even in vanilla Minecraft, the leading cause of most ticking entities corruption is usually a mod or combination of mods that are changing some core part of the game in Minecraft. A tick refers to Minecraft's process for updating every creature, block, and global event in the game for every chunk of the map. The game usually does this 20 times per second. Every time you do something in a game, it is only processed on a tick. Place a block, destroy a block, shoot a monster, and so on. A chunk is a volume of terrain 16 blocks by 16 blocks wide. That stretches from the lowest level up to the highest level. Your entire world of Minecraft is made of these 16 by 16 chunks. The data for a chunk has to be loaded into the memory so you can see it, move around it, move in it, or build in it. During each tick, the game has to update every block and every creature in the chunk that the player is standing in. It also has to do the same for every block and every creature in every chunk around that chunk, all the way out to the max view distance. That's a lot of blocks, and it does this 20 times a second. If any event happens that keeps a tick from finishing properly, it can cause the game to crash. This can result in the game repeatedly crashing every time you try to enter the game, because your spawn point for your character is in the same chunk as the ticking entity. It tries to load the chunk into memory, and as soon as it tries to process the corrupted information for the ticking entity, it's gonna crash over and over every time you spawn into the game. Players that are in other chunks may be able to join the game, but the same thing happens. Again, if they move into a chunk containing a ticking entity, the game crashes. There are two types of crashes related to the ticking entity crash. Ticking block is typically the same, except the issue is corrupted by a corrupted block or a tile entity. These are often special block types added by a mod. Modded crafting table blocks are a common issue of this sort of crash. They are basically handled the same way as a ticking entity. The ticking world error is the most severe kind of crash. The game knows that there is a corrupted block or creature somewhere in the world, but can't give you the exact location, because it doesn't know where it is. It could be any block, anywhere. This is the most difficult to fix, and sometimes requires some pretty heroic steps to fix it, or just plain luck. In some cases, it's beyond fixing. And if you're wondering if removing mods can fix it, no, it really won't. Even though mods have caused the corruption, the corrupted ticking entity is now part of the world data, and your world is basically your save game for Minecraft. Removing the mods will not fix the corruption, and the corrupted entity will stay the same in the world. Also, there's no way to exactly tell which mod may have caused the corruption. It might even have been a combination of multiple mods that caused it. If you're getting repeated ticking entity crashes, then later on you might want to figure out which mods are possibly causing it, and remove them at that time. But removing the mods now aren't going to fix the ticking entity. So if ticking entities are that complicated and can be that catastrophic, how do you fix it? Well, it's going to have to be removed from the world data, and there are several ways to do this, ranging from very simple to complicated to apocalyptic. Luckily, if the game has crashed because of a ticking entity, then it most likely has created a crash report. Right here, I'm going to jump into FTP file access, log in, and then jump to the crash reports folder where I can read this crash report that was created when my server crashed. The crash report is going to have the following information, and other miscellaneous stuff. But the three things that we're looking for are the type of creature that caused the crash. So let's scroll down until we find it. Right here, it's going to say that the creeper caused the crash, and it's going to tell us the exact block location that it caused the crash in and what region of the world that it's in. The crash report has everything you need to find and delete the ticking entity, which is super awesome when it turns out this way. Note, the XYZ coordinates are only accurate as of the split second before the server crash. Always try and use the newest crash report, as older ones, even if they're only minutes apart, are going to contain information that might be outdated. If you have a ticking world crash, the report is going to be a little bit different. It's going to start off, of course, saying that there's an error, but instead of saying that there's a ticking entity, it's going to say there's a exception with your ticking world. It's a ticking world crash. The report isn't going to give X, Y, or Z coordinates because the game has no clue where the problem is. It could be any block or creature anywhere in the game. The first method of eliminating the ticking entity is using the CoFH Core to remove the ticking entity. If your mod pack contains the CoFH Core, then that mod will have a special version of the regular Minecraft kill command called CoFH Kill All. To use this command, the server must be able to start up and run without crashing. Your player doesn't need to be connected to the game to run the command at all. You can enter this command from the console part of the page at the left by going into console and then typing in the text bar at the bottom CoFH space kill all, and then hitting enter. This command has the ability to kill creatures even in unloaded chunks, which is very handy considering a ticking entity will cause the game to crash if the game starts to try loading that chunk that the ticking entity is in. CoFH Core is a required mod for any mod that uses RF power, such as thermal expansion or thermal foundation, and is commonly found in a lot of mod packs. Check the /mods folder for CoFH Core to see if it's there and if it's an option. You can check by heading into FTP file access, logging in, and then going to the mods folder. And if it's not in here, it might be in your core mods folder, if your mod pack has a core mods folder. And as you can see here, I do have CoFH in my mod pack. If you don't have CoFH Core in the mod pack, you might consider downloading and adding the mod just so you can use this command. It's a core mod and should be compatible with just about any mod pack, as long as it's compatible with the mod pack's version of Minecraft. You can get the mod from CurseForge by searching it up, or we're going to leave it below the video. Just add it to the /mods folder and then start the server. You can also use the following commands in console. You can add an argument to the end of the command to target only a specific type of creature mentioned in the crash report. So let's say that the creature you needed to get rid of on your map is a creeper. One of the commands you could use is CoFH space kill all, and then space again, and then type in creeper, and then of course hit enter. You can also use it for modded creatures. So let's say you have a goat, because you have a cool animal mod. You can go ahead and type in CoFH kill all, and then you would type in the name of the creature or goat that pops up in your error report. And then you would, of course, hit enter. I do want to note, though, that creatures killed with the CoFH kill all command don't drop loot, as they aren't actually being killed, they're just being deleted from the game. You can try using the regular Minecraft kill command, but unlike the CoFH Core kill command, the regular one has huge drawbacks. The regular kill command kills entities by causing an astronomical amount of damage to them. Unfortunately, as part of the process of causing damage, it has to process all of the information for the entity, and if it's a ticking entity that crashes the game instantly before the command actually kills it, it's going to crash the server. The vanilla version of kill doesn't affect unloaded chunks. If you get close enough to use the vanilla kill command, it will load the chunk with the ticking entity and cause the server to crash. If you still want to use the vanilla kill command, what you want to type is kill, and then @ and then E, and let's say the type of mob that you want to kill is a zombie, you would put in brackets, then you would type, and then you would put in an equal sign, and then you would type in the zombie, and then you would finish the brackets off and hit enter. And now I'm going to show you the low-tech way to fix it, but unfortunately, the least likely way to succeed sometimes. You're going to have to use the XYZ coordinates from the crash report to teleport to the creature's location in the quarter of a second before the game crashes. And then you're going to have to kill the creature. Does it work all the time? No, but it's a really satisfying way to fix the issue when it does work. This will only work if the game is not instantly crashing on startup. If your character is spawning in the same chunk, the 16 by 16 block area, that the creature is spawning in, or that you are spawning in, or that contains the ticking entity, the game is going to crash before you could do anything, over and over. Your character is going to need to have the correct op permission, or permission node that allows them to use the /TP command, or the /teleport command. You're also going to need a weapon that can kill the ticking entity in a single hit. You're not going to have time for a second one. It's also recommended that you switch the game mode to creative by using /game mode creative in the console. MCEdit will generate a colored wireframe view of your Minecraft world and allow you to fly through it. As you can see here, I'm moving around, not the greatest frames or anything, but it's going to get the job done. You can also teleport to exact XYZ coordinates of the ticking entity and use commands in MCEdit to select and delete blocks. And then when you're finished, all you need to do is save your changes and then upload the fixed world back up to your server. But there are some things to note. MCEdit can only be used on Minecraft world saves up to 1.11. Versions 1.12, 1.13, and 1.14 and 1.15 aren't supported at this time. It also doesn't support the Bedrock Edition, the saves for Windows 10, Xbox, PlayStation 4, etc. And it also requires you to have a Minecraft installation on the same computer as you're making the edits on, as it uses the game files to generate the wireframe view of your world. A very powerful editor, but not exactly user-friendly. No GUI, wireframe view like MCEdit. It displays the raw data that makes up the saves, and you can make direct edits to the data. You're going to have to understand what you're looking at though, what it means, and the effects that it has in the game, and what it can be changed to. If you have a backup made, you can just simply restore the world from a backup, and this will roll back from before the entity crash occurred. This is probably the easiest and best solution out there out of all the other solutions, as it avoids any further potential damage done to the world. You can find our guide on restoring from a backup below the video. Now, I can't understate this enough. This should be your last resort. This method is pretty dangerous for your save and has serious potential to destroy your world. This is a way to kind of fix the ticking entity issue. You can enable certain features of the Forge mod loader. Forge contains two settings that will order Minecraft to delete any creatures or blocks that might cause a crash in order to prevent it from crashing. This method is completely uncontrollable, and Forge is given permission to delete anything and everything that has ever looked at it funny. And if you've ever looked at Forge messages in the console, Forge has a lot of issues with just about everything. Before you turn on any settings or change any settings, I'm gonna recommend that you stop your server before changing any files, although it may not help with any damage done. If you really want to save your world, this is really like the last thing you should be doing. But it might save your world from the ticking entity crash if you haven't backed up, or if the MCEdit tool is not going to work, or whatever. This is really your last resort type of thing. So to turn on these settings, we're going to go ahead and jump into FTP file access and log in. Let's go ahead and scroll down until we find the config file or the config folder. As you can see here, I have a folder set aside specifically for my config. Now from here, let's go ahead and scroll down until we find the Forge configuration file. Right here, I have my Forge configuration file. Let's go ahead and click the edit button to the very right of it. Now there's only two things that you're really going to need to change. This is to remove any tile entity, and then the removing error tile entities. So they start out as false. Go ahead and highlight that and then type in true. It's recommended to only turn on the setting appropriate to what you were trying to fix. So make sure to change these with discretion. You might not need to turn on the remove erroring entities, or you may not have to turn on the remove erroring tile entities. It completely depends on your situation. So let's say that you don't need to turn on tile entities. You, of course, would want this to be set to false. And then from there, you can go ahead and save the config file. But remember, once your server is up, you're going to need to immediately shut down the server and then change this back to false, or both of these back to false, because it can really mess up your world. Let's go ahead and jump back to the main Multicraft panel. You can either start or restart your server. And then once it fully starts up, you're going to need to stop it right away. And as you can see here, my server started up. We're going to go ahead and stop it immediately. And then from there, we can go ahead and jump back into FTP file access, log in, and then head to config, and then scroll down until you find the Forge config. And then go to the very right of it and hit edit. Scroll down and make sure that you reverse any changes you made. So if you set something to true or you set something to false, go ahead and change it back, preferably keeping both of these things false. And then hit save. Once your configuration file is set, you can go ahead and jump back into the main Multicraft page and either start or restart your server. And once your server's up, you can try connecting to your game to make sure everything is okay. Once you're connected to your game, you may see entire structures or buildings gone. That's the damage that I was talking about earlier. If this happened, all you need to do is restore the backup that you made before turning on the Forge settings, and try one of the alternative methods of removing the ticking entity. Well folks, that's all I got for you today. I really hope this helped you out with your server, and I hope you subscribe to the official Apex YouTube channel, and I hope you like this video. Thank you for using an Apex server, and as always, I hope you have lots of fun.